Hi friends, welcome back to my channel, Mariah's Moods. And in this video, I'm going to talk about all the books I read in the month of May. So, despite May being one of the busiest months I've had so far this year, I got a lot of reading done. I did a little bit of Kindle reading and quite a bit of physical reading this month, and I'm super proud of myself because May is full of birthdays, we had family visiting, my daughter graduated elementary school, so it was a very busy month, but the fact that I was able to get so much reading done makes me feel so accomplished. So I figured we'd just go through all of the books I read this month in chronological order, but before we get to it, please don't forget to go ahead and like and subscribe to my channel. If you like bookish and lifestyle content, you are in the right spot. So without further ado, let's get into the wrap-up. First book that I finished this month was in honor of one of our favorite family holidays in the month of May, which is Star Wars Day. So if you don't know, May 4th is designated Star Wars Day. I decided this year to try something new that I haven't actually done before, and that is read one of the Star Wars novels. Now, I will let you know that it took me a while to figure out where exactly to start because there are so many Star Wars novels. It was just all over the place and I didn't know where to start. So I decided to go back, and I love a good origin. I love to see where things started compared to what we know of today. So I decided to pick up The Light of the Jedi. This is by Charles Soule and part of the High Republic, I'm assuming, kind of series. This is set in the Golden Age, or the Golden Era of the Jedi. So the Senate is at peace and the Jedi and the Force is strong. So in the beginning of the story, this incident happens in hyperspace that basically rips the ship apart. And the aftermath of this incident basically threatens the entire system. But this incident basically pushes the Jedi to their absolute limit, and they have to trust the Force in order to save everyone. But as they're working through this mission, they realize that the incident that happened with the ship is a little more dangerous than what they expected, and possibly something darker was behind this, and they have to figure out what it is to protect everyone. I really enjoyed this book. I'll be honest, it was a little bit different of an experience because I've never read anything in the Star Wars universe. I did start off reading it on my Kindle, and then I switched over to audio, and for me that was a little bit better. So you're listening to more of a dramatic reading of this story, which makes it a little more immersive, and for me held my attention a little bit more. Overall, I'd give this a 3.5 star. I would recommend it if you enjoy Star Wars. So the next two books that I read in the month of May were dedications to my daughters and their birthdays. I actually have a reading vlog for this. I'll go ahead and share up at the top. So for my oldest daughter's birthday dedication book, I read Reflection by Elizabeth Lim. This was such a fun experience, and I really enjoyed this. I think I settled on a 3-star for this rating of this book. This is a twisted tale based on the Disney animated film Mulan. The Twisted Tales are a series of books that take what we know of the original Disney animated films and kind of create a twisted take or an alternative plot. For this one, in Reflection, Mulan has to travel to the underworld of DU to save Captain Shang and his spirit. This was really wonderful. These books are middle grade, age 12 to 17 from their websites. I love the conversations about family and gender roles, societal norms for women when it comes to combat or just their place in society. And I really loved Mulan's perspective and the deeper reflection that she takes when it comes to how she sees herself in relation to her family and to her friends and to society. And so this was really great. I think this would be an awesome read for anyone, especially the intended audience, to really think about what it means to be you in the environment that you're living in. For my second daughter, her birthday dedication book, I read Go the Distance by Jen Catalina. This is a twisted tale on Disney's animated movie Hercules, and so the twisted plot of this book is if Meg had to become a Greek goddess. So this is following her journey as she goes through several trials to become a god to stay with Hercules at Mount Olympus. I ended up giving this a 4-star. This was fantastic. I absolutely enjoyed this book, and I love Meg more so than I already did. She is just unapologetically her, and I love the attitude. I love her tenacity. I just loved learning about Meg and what drove Meg, and her still being herself but still being open to change and acceptance and help from others was so refreshing and so wonderful, and exactly what I needed to read at this point in my life. Like, it's okay to ask for help. It's okay. And you can still be sassy while doing it, which was fantastic. I don't want to say too much about this because I don't want to spoil anything, but I highly, highly recommend, especially if you love Hercules. So from there, I kind of did a little swivel and I continued on with a little bit of sci-fi, but I threw some romance in there. So I picked up The Love Hypothesis from Ali Hazelwood, and oh my god, I loved this book. I did not think that I was going to love it as much as I did. I gave it a 4.5 star. It was so close to a 5 star for me. There's just a few things that kind of fell a little short, and it more so was like character setup, I guess, but this is following Olive and Adam. Olive is a PhD candidate and Adam is a tenured professor at this university. Basically, they strike up a fake dating relationship so that Olive can basically convince her friends that she's happy. So we have this fake dating relationship, but we also have a little bit of a grumpy sunshine relationship, which I really enjoyed. Adam is supposed to be this like super grumpy, like asshole mentor, and Olive is more of kind of like a go with the flow, a little bit of a bubbly, a little bit of the chaotic, messy kind of girl. So they're definitely opposites, but oh my gosh, like I just could not. I just love too that this was, for like as short as this book is, it was a little bit of a slow burn, and I really, really appreciate it. Like, nothing really went down until it was like the last third of the book, and so that tension, that buildup was perfect. Their banter back and forth was hilarious and so relatable. Ali Hazelwood did a fantastic job building these two characters. My only thing was that Adam, again, is supposed to be this like grumpy guy who everyone kind of hates because he's so hard on everyone, but we only saw glimpses of that, and it was really from like outside perspectives of people just talking to Olive. We didn't really witness his like jerk behavior up front. So it was a little hard to believe that he was as awful as he was supposed to be seen as. I mean, he was definitely grumpy and he was definitely cold in some instances, but to be like this almost like villain in a lot of people's eyes, I don't think it related that much to me. But this was fantastic. I loved the STEM representation in this. Seeing as that I have a degree in biochemistry and I am a science teacher, like I just ate this up. I loved it so much. 4.5 stars. I almost just want to give it a 5 because the more that I think about it, the more I really just I enjoyed it. I loved it, and I was very, very surprised. From there, I could not get enough. So I went to my library, and luckily they had the Ali Hazelwood novellas, the Loathe to Love You books, and I just consumed those like in a day and a half because I just needed more STEMinist romance. Overall, I would give like this whole collection a 4 out of 5 stars. But essentially, these 3 novellas follow 3 women in STEM. They're all friends, and they kind of have these separate romances that they go through. So I don't really want to say too much because these are novellas, so it's really hard to talk about them without spoiling them because they are so short. But in the Under One Roof novella, we follow Mara, and so in this one, we have some forced proximity. Not so much grumpy sunshine, but we do have like opposites attracting with one another, and this one was by far my favorite. Then we have Stuck With You, which is following Sadie. Again, we have a forced proximity and a little bit of rivals to lovers scenario here. And then we have Below Zero, which is following Hannah. So for this one, we have second chance romance, and we also have like some miscommunication trope. So if you like that, you'll definitely love Below Zero. Overall, again, 4 out of 5 stars as the collection. Under One Roof was my personal favorite, but all of them were delightful, and the spice, loved it. Okay, so then I continued on with sci-fi. May was like the month of sci-fi for me. Sci-fi romance, anything. Like I just wanted it all. So I decided to read Jurassic Park by Michael Crichton, and this was really, really fun, fantastic. Another 4-star read for me. Jurassic Park is one of my favorite movies of all time. It's just like a comfort movie for me, and I'd never read the book, and so it was time to figure out a little bit more, dive deeper into Jurassic Park, and boy did I love this book. It was so good. Again, the science was fantastic. The talk of genetic engineering, bioengineering, the implications of that, what could happen if we take genetic engineering to that extreme, and the fact that we are not that far from that, and in some instances can actually develop and bring back extinct organisms. It's so crazy. It's so crazy to see. The science for this was fantastic, but also just like the thriller, the scariness of being in Jurassic Park, and the descriptions of these attacks from these dinosaurs were amazing, where I wish that the original Jurassic Park movie took it to that gore, and it didn't. In some ways it did, but in some ways it did not. And so getting to compare this book to the movie was really, really fun. But overall, I was here for the science, I was here for the dinosaurs, and I was not disappointed. Alright, so after Jurassic Park, I think I was a little burnt out on sci-fi. Like, I needed a break. So I decided to pick up a thriller, and I read The Family Game by Catherine Steadman. I'm going to go ahead and give this a 3.5 stars. I think I run it up on Goodreads to a 4. So this is following Harriet, who is an author, and she has recently become engaged to her boyfriend, Edward. Edward comes from a very affluent family. Like, think Vanderbilts. Like, they are rich. Okay, but he is estranged from his family, and we start off kind of not knowing sure why. Kind of just like, oh, they're overbearing, I don't want to be a part of this rich aristocracy type of family, and I want to do my own thing. And like, Harriet's like all for it. So when they become engaged, Edward's family reaches out to Harriet to basically use her as a way to kind of mend their estranged relationship. And so Harriet, trying to be a supportive fiance, starts to agree to seeing his family and try to kind of bridge that gap in their relationship. So in Harriet's first encounter with his family on Thanksgiving, she meets the patriarch Robert, Edward's father. He is a very, very rich, very, very powerful, and very, very influential. Harriet and Robert strike up a conversation, and basically Robert passes her this old recorded tape. He says that he's working on a novel and he wants her to read it over and give him some feedback. She listens to the novel and realizes that this doesn't really sound like a storyline, more like a confession to a potential murder or murders. So she starts to do what every sane person would do and start investigating this family. But she has to be very careful because Harriet has a little bit of a past, and this family is very rich and powerful and could definitely learn about this past and use it against her. This was really, really entertaining. It started off a little bit slow, but the pace eventually picked up, and I just could not put it down. I needed to know first what was going to happen with this family, what is happening with these tapes, and also what the hell are these games and how is it going to end? The plot twist for me was a little bit predictable, but it really was done in a good way where I wasn't upset that I already had predicted it. It was more of, well, now what's going to happen? What choice is Harriet going to make from here? It was really, really great. If you just want like a quick, easy thriller that's a little bit creepy, a little bit of like Knives Out vibes, but not as like funny, like if Knives Out was a little more serious, definitely look into The Family Game. So I finished out the month by tackling what I feel like was kind of a monster. It was a little bit of a beast. It took me way longer than I expected to finish this book. I'm glad that I did, but it's more of a I'm glad that it's done than like I enjoyed the process. And that was Tower of Dawn by Sarah J. Maas. Like, I feel bad saying this. I'm gonna go ahead and give this a 3-star. And I really can't say much about it. This is book 7 of the Throne of Glass series. And for me so far, this is the book that I've enjoyed the least. Again, I'm gonna give it a 3 out of 5 star. I think for me, the reason why I'm rating it so low compared to the other ones is that I feel like the storyline for me was a little bit slow, and I'm not as emotionally invested in the character that this book is really following. I know some people who have read the Throne of Glass series say that you can actually like skip this book. I will say that I wouldn't skip Tower of Dawn because it does reintroduce some characters that we've seen previously, especially in the Assassin Blade novellas. So that for me was kind of like its saving grace, as I liked seeing that reemergence of those characters. This is a story of redemption, so for me that was again a little bit of a saving grace here, but overall it wasn't my favorite. I will say that I am excited and a little bit scared to do Kingdom of Ash. I think I'm gonna take a break from Throne of Glass. I'll probably get to Kingdom of Ash in July. I wanted to love it more. I don't think it was for me. All right, so that's it. Those are all of the books that I read for the month of May. May was a very, very busy month, so I'm very excited and proud of myself to get through all of the books that I did. I would say overall it was a really great reading month. I had quite a few 4 stars, one so close to a 5, and I'm just excited to see what June has in store. So in the comments, go ahead and tell me what are some of your favorite reads from this month. I'm always looking for new recommendations and things to add to my TBR. If you like this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up, and I would greatly appreciate it if you were to subscribe to my channel. If you like all things bookish and lifestyle content, you are in the right place. I hope your day is full of good moods and good vibes, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye!